Homolytic cleavage, that is what related to the fission, that is breaking down of a bond in organic compound. Homolytic mean, as we discussed earlier, the electrons will be distributed, or what can we say, it will be one electron each will go back to the fragments. Each fragment will be mutually getting equal numbers, x1 and 1 electron will be given back to the fragments, and which lead to the formation of free radicals. Okay, that is what you can see over here. Free radicals mean it's like a neutral species formed during the homolytic cleavage, which has got unpaired electron. That is what we write. If an alkyl group has got an unpaired electron, we write R, that is R stands for alkyl group, and we put a dot. That means there is a free electron. So this is known as alkyl free radical. But if you have a chlorine or bromine, something with free radical, like we can write like this. So it could be an atom or a group of atom with one unpaired electron. That is what known as free radical. Okay, so free radicals are formed by the homolytic cleavage of the bond, and the electrons, one electron will be going with each of the fragment. That is how homolytic cleavage. Unlike heterolytic cleavage, where there is a transfer of a pair of electron, but here a single electron transfer is taking place, and that is why we use the arrow. You can see the arrow is like a fish hook arrow. That means a curved arrow but with one head. Usually for a 2 electron we draw a normal curved arrow with both the heads, but for single electron transfer we use fish hook arrows just to indicate the shift of one electron back to the fragment. So homolytic cleavage result in the formation of a free radical, which can be defined as neutral species. They don't carry any charge, which contains an unpaired electron. That unpaired electrons are shown by putting a dot above the group. And these free radicals are highly reactive. I think this was the last topic we discussed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here, like in a carbocation, for free radicals also can be classified as primary, secondary, and tertiary free radical. And the classification is exactly in the same way. Like you can see, if you have one alkyl group attached to the free radical, it is primary. If you have two alkyl group, then it is secondary. And if you have three alkyl group, then it is tertiary free radical. And the stability is also is exactly in the same order as like in the case of carbocation. Tertiary radicals are more stable, and the least stable one will be methyl radical. So tertiary, then secondary, then primary, and the least one is methyl radical. The explanation we will learn at the coming session of organic electronic movement reactions. Here you will just learn the trend, the stability of free radicals. So the classification is exactly based on number of alkyl groups attached to the free radical carbon. If one alkyl group, that is primary. If two alkyl group, then secondary. If you have three alkyl group attached to the free radical carbon. Free radical carbon means carbon with that dot, that unpaired electron. That is what free radical carbon. So that free radical carbon has got one alkyl group is primary, two alkyl group is secondary, and three alkyl group is tertiary. And the stability order is like tertiary being more stable, and the primary is less stable, and the least one is of the simplest free radical, that is methyl radical. The reaction which proceed by homolytic fission are called free radical, homopolar or non-polar reactions. Free radical, we basically use this word, free radical mechanism, free radical reaction, free radical substitution, like that free radical addition reaction. So whenever you have a homolytic cleavage takes place in an organic reaction, we name it as free radical mechanism. Am I clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so make sure that you're writing important points along with our discussion. Okay, that much will be enough in free radical and homolytic cleavage. So we were in fission of fundamental concept in organic reaction mechanism, where we discussed about fission of covalent bond, that is breaking down of a covalent bond, and it is basically in two different way, heterolytic cleavage and homolytic cleavage. We started with heterolytic cleavage where it lead to the formation of positive and negative ions, that is lead to the polar reactions, ionic reactions. Then we named the two species called carbocation and carboanion. Carbocations are positive carbon fragment, and if the negative carbon fragment, then it is carbanion. Then we started with carbocation and classifying as primary, secondary, tertiary, and we also discussed about its relative stability. After that, we discussed about carbanion being negative carbon fragment. We discussed that it is also highly unstable and reactive. Then we move to the homolytic cleavage, where the breaking down of a covalent bond with single electron movement takes place, leading to a neutral species with unpaired electrons. That is what the free radical is. And here also in the free radical also can be classified as primary, secondary and tertiary free radicals based on the number of alkyl groups, and also we compare its stability, tertiary being more stable, and primary or methyl radical is the least stable one. Okay, so this is the end of the fission of covalent bond. We are breaking down of how the covalent bond can be broken in organic compound. The next topic is learning about the reagent, that is nucleophiles and electrophile. Usually in an inorganic compound, say if I take an imaginary reaction A plus B giving C plus D, so you have A and B as reactants, C plus D as products. This is how we simply name the reactants and products. Anything which is added in the beginning comes under reactant, and what all things you get at the end of the reaction is products. But in organic chemistry, rather than simply using the word reactant, they are very specific about the usage. Among the reactant, those molecules in which the new bond formation takes place, because as it's a carbon compound, in organic reaction the new bond formation will be always associated with carbon. So that fragment or the reactant in which the new bond formation takes place is called substrate. and the other one is the reagent. So here in this example, this is ethene and this is bromine. Both are reactant. So basically, if it's an inorganic reaction, we just call it as reactants. But here you can see the carbon bond formation or the new bond formation is associated with ethene molecule. This is the thing where the new bond formation takes place. So that will be called as a substrate. And the next reactant, what is left, is called reagent. So now onwards, we will be, rather than using the reactant, we will be using the word substrate and reagent. Substrate is nothing but a molecule where the new bond formation takes place, where actually the new substance is being added, the reactor's place. That is what the substrate is. Reaction center. That is what the substrate, where the new bonds are forming. And what else you are adding is called reagent. So these two terms are important in organic: substrate and reagent. Substrate and reagent. Because in order to define a nucleophile and electrophile, you need to know what is a reagent. So reagents, so nucleophiles and electrophiles are reagents. They are the ones which is being added to a reactive space or reactive site. So electrophile and neutrophile, in which there is no reaction takes place. Instead, they are bringing some reaction to the other material. Okay. So nucleophiles and electrophiles are reagents. And if you want to classify them, nucleophile is a reagent that brings an electron pair to the reactive site. Similarly, electrophile mean they takes away electron pair from the reactive site. Or more clearly, you can say nucleophile. You can see whenever they write sometime in this way or sometime nucleophile, 2 dots. What does that indicate? What is the implication, like what is it indicates putting 2 dots along with the representation?
Ma'am, is it like a lone pair?
It is a lone pair, or more clearly you can say there is some electron rich compounds, right? Okay. Here the word meaning nucleophile indicates that nucleus loving. Phile means loving and liking, like that. So nucleophile, or they are looking for a nucleus. Nucleus loving. That is what a nucleophile means. So what is the charge of a nucleus? What is the charge of the nucleus? What is the charge of the nucleus? No charge?
Charge, ma'am.
What is the charge?
Nucleus is positively charged, right?
Yeah, positively charged. I don't know why there is a delay in answering. Boys, please respond. Okay, nucleus is positively charged. So nucleus loving mean they are looking for a positive charge. They are seeking a positive charge. So what will be its charge? If somebody is looking for a positive charge, mean what will be that charge of that object?
Negative.
Negative. That is what a nucleophile mean. They are electron rich compound. It will be either a negative species or a neutral substance with a pair of lone pairs, like an extra lone pair electron. That is how you define a nucleophile is. This is what very important in classifying the reagents as nucleophile and electrophile. Nucleophile mean they are looking for a positive charge. So they themselves is an electron rich compound, which electron rich compound mean it can be either a negative species like Cl minus, Cn minus, OH minus, where you have a negative charge already, or it could be a neutral substance where there is a lone pair of electrons. Say example, ammonia, NH3. NH3 ammonia is a neutral, but there is a lone pair on ammonia free, which can be making it as an electron rich because of the free electron pair. So that is how you will define a nucleophile. A nucleus loving group or nucleus seeking group, that means they are looking for a positive charge. So they themselves are negatively charged or a neutral substance with a pair of electron. So the reaction, the reaction involving a nucleophile is known as nucleophilic reaction. Okay, so try to define a nucleophile in this way: a reagent that brings a electron pair because they are electron rich compound. So when a nucleophile is added, the nucleophile will be able to donate or give out that electron pair to the reactive site. That is the substrate. You have a substrate, minimum one substrate and one reagent. So to the substrate, this reagent nucleophile is added, it will be giving out that electron. That is what a nucleophile is. They are nucleus seeking group, and such reactions involving nucleophile is called nucleophilic reaction. This is how organic reactions are classified: nucleophilic reactions and electrophilic reaction. You are learning in more detail about the mechanism. So nucleophilic reaction means a reaction involved with nucleophile. That means the reagent is a nucleophile, which contains or which are electron rich compound and which will be ready to give out or comes with a pair of electron to the reactive site. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, for an electrophile, the case is entirely opposite. Electrophile means electron loving, electron seeking. They look for an electron, mean they themselves are positive, or you can say they are electron deficient compounds because they are either positive or they have electron deficiency in them. Okay, so due to which they are looking for an electron. So they are defined as a reagent that takes away electron pair from the reactive site. Anyway, we'll continue. It's already time up to conclude the class. So we'll continue with nucleophile and electrophile in the next class. Okay. Anyway, all the best, boys. Do your maximum, perform well. I hope you all can do a better job this time. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.